Hi there. Well, winter is well and truly here, and if you believe the fearmongers out there on social media and on YouTube and so on, it's the end of the world for EVs like the Škoda Enyaq. But is that true? No, it's not. Okay, so here we are at the Tesla supercharger. It's really easy. There's a terminal there. If I want, I could use a credit card. It's 51 pence per kilowatt hour. But I'm going to use the app just to show you how that works. So I've got the, come out the sunlight. So I've got the app here. Want to charge here at Todd Hills. It's found it with my GPS. Stall number is 2C, so I just select that and then start charging. Plug in to start. It's already plugged in, and then obviously we'll see over here it will start handshaking with the car, and it will start charging any second now. There we go. Okay, so the charging hasn't been massively fast, but I have been faffing about trying to get my GoPro remote working. So what I'm going to do is show you how things are going. So it's charging at 58 kilowatts. It's delivered 23 kilowatt hours of energy, £11.83. Car's at 80%. So far we've been averaging 3.2 miles per kilowatt hour, and now it's basically time to get back on the road. The other thing to maybe look at is car scanner, so I can show you how the battery is. Okay, so hopefully you can see there the battery was heated up by charging at home to 8 degrees. It was -4 outside. It's now 5 degrees outside because England's clearly very, very warm in comparison with home. And the battery by charging has gone up to 26 degrees. Also, there was a bit of pre-conditioning, but not much. So anyway, that should mean that the drive is a little bit more efficient from here on in. And what I'll do is I will do a little bit of filming when I get to Manchester, and you can see the end result in terms of efficiency. So here's an observation, and it may be of interest to those who have got Enyaqs that are first generation Enyaqs and don't yet have preconditioning of the battery. I last charged an hour and a half ago. I think it's 1 hour 37 minutes ago, and the battery at that point was 23 degrees because it had been heated up using the Tesla supercharger. The Enyaq tries to keep the battery when you're driving in a nice stable, not too hot, not too cold state, so it's good for efficiency, but it's not so hot that it's going to cause you problems like Nissan Leafs have when they get too hot. They have to throttle the charging rate back. So what the Enyaq tries to do is keep it in the mid-teens. So this battery was 23 degrees when I was back at Carlisle. An hour and a half later, an hour and 40 minutes later actually, it's at 14 degrees. So you often see people on online forums like Facebook, EV groups discussing why their charging isn't as fast as it maybe should be, or they think it should be. There are two things there. The state of charge may be too high. On the Enyaq you need to be down at about 15%, and the battery on the Enyaq has to be 23 degrees or above. So at 14 degrees now, if I charged, in fact let's have a look, see what it says. Yeah, it says that if I charge now at 40% and at 14 degrees, I would only get 65 kilowatts, which is a long way short of the maximum rate of charge this car can do. So don't be worried about it. If you've got a current generation Enyaq, then you can optimize the battery by pressing a button to start the battery heating, or you can just navigate to a charger. That'll do it. If you have an older generation Enyaq, the first generation Enyaq, Škoda claim that they are working on getting the battery preheating working, but we'll wait and see whether they succeed with that. It causes all sorts of issues if people use the workshop mode, which only activates for 5 minutes. It's a workshop test mode, and Škoda say there are all sorts of issues caused by using that in the longer term, so that's not a solution. Whether they'll succeed or not, I really don't know. They have been trying for a while now, so it remains to be seen, but they assure me they are working on it, so we'll wait and see. The only other way to do it is to do what's called yo-yo driving. So you put the car into B mode, so you get maximum regen, you accelerate as hard as you can, and then lift the foot off the pedal and let the car regenerate, and then you rinse and repeat. You keep doing that. Now, it's not very comfortable, and obviously in traffic then it's not very safe either, because everyone around you is going to be putting up with you apparently braking hard, then accelerating away. You're going to annoy other people, and you're also going to make your passengers feel pretty sick. It's not a comfortable way to drive, so I wouldn't recommend it. Maybe late at night on an empty road you can do it, but still, I wouldn't worry about it. I would take the extra time at the charger and maybe just have an extra coffee. But either way, that is something worthy of note. Just driving the car will not warm the battery up. In fact, as I've shown this morning, it will cool the battery down, turning it around about the mid-teens. Hopefully that's of some use. Okay, so I've only got a few minutes to get to my destination, and I thought I'd have a quick review of the stats. How has the journey been? So if you remember, the first part of the journey was on little windy country roads and wasn't going hugely fast. I was stuck behind school buses and tankers and things, and you would think that would be more efficient than the motorway driving. So overall, the trip has averaged out at 3.3 miles per kilowatt hour. But if you look at the since charging figure, I've actually managed 3.5 miles per kilowatt hour. So rather counterintuitively, you might think motorway speed driving is the least efficient. In today's case, it's actually worked out as 3.5 miles per kilowatt hour on the motorway section. I guess that's probably down in large part to the temperature. So when I was on the country roads, it was around about -4. For the first part of the motorway driving, it was around about 2. Now we're down here in the balmy Manchester area, it's 7 degrees. So I guess the temperature has really helped out here. But either way, there's not been an issue whatsoever. It's been really easy to do. Like I said, a quick toilet stop at Carlisle on the Tesla supercharger. I think I charged there for about 10 minutes, I can't remember. A lot of that was tied up with trying to get these two cameras talking to it to the GoPro remote. So that was that was maybe a little longer than I would have hoped for. But the overall journey time since I started this morning, 3 hours 40 minutes, which compares really well with the train. One of my colleagues said, "Why are you driving instead of taking the train?" The train was 4.5 hours, so there we are. It was also been a lot more expensive. Anyway, I will do another little bit of filming later tonight when I plug in at the Tesla supercharger, and we'll see what sort of speed of charge I get. The battery is now at 35%, so not really low enough yet to get a really fast charge, but we'll give it a go and see what we get. In the end, I didn't record anything at the Tesla supercharger because my colleagues wanted to drag me off shopping in the Trafford Centre. So here's my AI avatar to explain that the car charged for 54 minutes at the Trafford Centre supercharger. It took on board 56.3 kilowatt hours at a cost of 51 pence per kilowatt hour, which is cheaper than most other networks, but it was still not the fully cheapest price that would have been available from Tesla off-peak. But the total cost of a charge, which set me up for the journey home the next day, was £28.73. Not too bad for public charging in the UK in 2024. So I set off from Manchester 2 hours ago, and I had 85% left and 247 miles of range it predicted. Now, I've so far done 83 miles. I've been sitting at 70 with cruise control on the motorway, and I've got 52% left. It says I've got 138 miles prediction, but then the temperature, so that has dropped as I've gone along, because the temperature has dropped, and it was, I think, 8 degrees in Manchester. It's now 4 degrees. So I've got 126 miles to go. The car says it can do 138. Interestingly, when I put on the Škoda sat-nav system, it says I'm going to arrive there with an empty battery and I have to stop. I think that's because it's programming in a stop and it's preheating the battery. So what I've done is I've just pulled in here at T-Bay, and I'll show you that in a second. And what I am going to do is just go in and grab some food, because it's now 5:15. It's about 5.5 hours since I ate. And so I'm going to have something to eat here. I didn't pre-warm the battery. I stopped it doing that because I don't actually want to charge that much here, because it's 64 pence. I want to get home and use off-peak electricity at home. So, and I also want to have something to eat. I don't want to be particularly rushed. So I don't want a really, really fast charge here. The car is actually saying, if I go to the optimization, the car is saying that it can charge at 48 kilowatts because, as you can see on here, I've got 52% left. So it's actually too full to get a really fast charge. I think if I did start battery heating, it would say it could do... No, it's not going to do anything. I'm just going to stop it because it needs 35 minutes to get to the optimum temperature. So anyway, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to plug in here. As you can see, there is a whole range of chargers. There's an extra new one that's gone in over there since I was last here, and that's been commissioned at the moment. The Swarco engineer is there setting things up. Anyway, I'm going to go inside and I'm going to eat some of the rather delicious food that you get at T-Bay. All right, charging complete. I charged for a total of 12 minutes. It took me longer than that to actually get my food. So I actually looked on the app and I just stopped the charge because I've got 65% left. It's 126 miles to get home, and the guessometer is estimating, even in what's now 5 degrees, it's warmed up. Even in these temperatures, it is now 182 miles. It's estimating. Actually, for some reason, the heating's gone off. Let's turn the heating on. What's it reckoning? All right, so that knocks 12 miles off. Yeah, so I have got 126 miles to run, and the car reckons 170 miles. So I am going to just get on my way and get home as soon as I possibly can. What I'll do is I will report when I get back what the overall stats are for the trip. And then when I'm actually in the edit, by that stage, Tronity will have fed through all the updates, because it's not showing here any of today's charges. That'll take time to feed through, clearly. And what I'll do is I'll overlay that on the end as well, so that you can see the stats for the trip. But the headline figures, since I charged yesterday in Manchester, I did some running to Rochdale this morning, then into Manchester, then onto a second location in Manchester. So I've done a total of 116 miles, and it's averaged 3.5 miles per kilowatt hour. Since I joined the motorway earlier, that's dropped down to 3.3 miles per kilowatt hour. So clearly going fast has an impact. Anyway, I will report overall stats when I get back home to Livingston later on this evening, hopefully in about 2 hours' time. So journey's end. I have travelled from Manchester. Today I have done 209 miles. It's taken me 4 hours and 19 minutes. There was a lot of city centre stuff, a trip out to Rochdale this morning. Overall for that, I have averaged 3.3 miles per kilowatt hour. Actually, since I charged, it's the same, 3.3. So I've done 209 miles. There is 15% left in the battery and 29 miles left. The efficiency has really, really dropped since I crossed the border. Basically, the temperature's really dropped. It's now -3, whereas compare that in Manchester, it was +7, I think it was, when I left there. So I make that a total mileage of 240 miles potential in the battery, and if you compare that with when I had a recent trip back from Kidderminster, bear in mind then the temperature was about 14 degrees and I managed 280 miles without a charge. So you can just see the impact that cold has. But having said that, I've travelled all the way from Manchester, and I have only added a little. It wasn't even 15%. So I would have got back here without any drama whatsoever. So it just goes to show you the impact that the cold has. But even with that, not having preconditioned the car, not having pre-charged, I started at 85%, and I've managed to get here without any issues whatsoever. I hope that's been of use, and I will see you in another video soon.